So welcome to those who are joining live. It's lovely to see um, so many lovely names and faces. And to those who are listening to the recording later, also welcome. It's lovely to connect with you like that. And it's good to be back after a couple of weeks of holiday and break, well-needed family time. But I just really want to speak back to what happened last week, Wednesday. Well, today is obviously Wednesday, the 17th of April, and last week was the 8th of April. On Monday, the 8th of April, was the new moon solar eclipse. And it was a new moon in Aries. And the new moon is in Aries always marks the start of the astrological year. So the astrological year actually only starts now in the new moon that's around April time. And it's tied to so many religious celebrations around Easter, the celebration of Easter, around the end of Eid. So it's interesting how many religions all focus around this, what is actually the astrological start of the year. And the sun and the moon are both at 19 degrees of Aries. Which if you don't really know astrology like I don't and didn't, it's interesting to use a little app called Skyview Tracker, and you can look up at the stars and the sky and can see where the moon is, where the sun is, where Aries, the constellation, is. And it's always fascinating to see that the moon actually, where it's actually sitting. But it's both the sun and the moon were at 19 degrees of Aries, and joining them at the same degree and at almost the same minute is Chiron. And Chiron is in myth the wounded healer. So there's a lovely South African Michelle McLuhan who I listened to her little video, and she talks about, as we know, the new moon's always a wonderful time to plant seeds. She talks about the energy of Aries being a fiery, passionate, impulsive energy to get things going, almost like striking a match. But because Chiron is there too, we can all experience what we may see as, or feel, or call a healing crisis. And Mercury is also retrograde in Aries at the moment. So we're revisiting stuff from the past and stuff that we thought that we'd cleared. And yeah, she just warned that there may be a big energy of insecurity, of not feeling very inspired, and of processing grief at this time and revisiting our wounds. And she just really encouraged us to allow this. So you might want to listen to her, it's just a 20-minute talk on YouTube on the new moon in Aries, and I'll put the link with the YouTube video. But all this is just to say that sometimes we feel big feelings, we feel pain, we feel sickness, we feel sadness. And it's really to know that there's often bigger stuff than just us going on. And we often take it so personally that it's just us and just us going through these hard times. And it's just to say that we're not alone. And it just so beautifully connects to the passage written by the poet Rainer Maria Rilke. And this just comes out of a series of letters written to a young poet. So I just posted the first part of it, but I'm going to actually read the whole passage to you. So I encourage you just to allow these words to land as if written to you. So you might want to just take a couple of deep breaths and just feel your feet grounded on the earth, your feet in your chair or cushion. So you mustn't be frightened. If a sadness rises in front of you, larger than any you have ever seen, if an anxiety like light and cloud shadows move over your hands and over everything you do, you must realize that something is happening to you and that life has not forgotten you, that it holds you in its hand and it will not let you fall. Why do you want to shut out of your life any uneasiness, any misery, any depression? Since after all, you don't know what work these conditions are doing inside you. Why do you want to persecute yourself with the question of where this all is coming from and where it is going? since you know, after all, that you are in the midst of transitions and you wished for nothing so much as to change. If there's anything unhealthy in your reactions, just bear in mind that sickness is the means by which an organism frees itself from what is alien. So one must simply help it to be sick, to have its whole sickness, and to break out with it, since that is the way it gets better. And he goes on to say at the end of the letter, and if there's one more thing that I must say to you, it is this. Don't think that the person who is trying to comfort you now lives untroubled among the simple and quiet words that sometimes give you pleasure. His life is much trouble and sadness and remains far behind yours. If it were otherwise, he would never have been able to find those words. So how do we do this? How do we sit with the discomfort, with the grief, with the loss, with the feelings of insecurity? I also recently came across this 10-minute address by Roland McCratty of the HeartMath Institute, and he heads up the research for the HeartMath Institute Research Center. Again, it's just a 10-minute little introduction that he did at a conference. And it's just worth listening to realize the importance of what we're doing and really encourage us to keep on with this practice that we do when we practice our mindful moments of settling into a state of flow. So he said that from about 30 years ago, we've been researching how emotions affect the body. And was all that the focus on was about stress and anxiety and how it affected our body and what happens to our body. And then when they brought people into the lab and they were able to really feel heartfelt feelings of love, of compassion, of kindness, the way the heart beat and the rhythms of the heart actually changed. And this is actually our optimal state of function for our body, and it's called heart coherence. And he says that now they've got over 500 studies that show that when we get into this heart coherent state, it can lift everything. It can lift our health. It can lift our performance in sport, at work. It can lift our relationships, our connections with people. Even if we might not agree mentally about certain things, it can really connect us to people. And it especially enhances our ability to access our own intuitive guidance. And this is the amazing research that they're scientifically looking at intuition and looking at how we are connected to not just the heart inside us, but the greater heart. And they're now able to test and measure this in a lab. And we can shift into the state frequently and can open this pathway by becoming more heart coherent. And they can literally also measure the electromagnetic fields that spread out from our heart and connect us with others. So he says that learning how to get our heart into sync may be one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves and others, and that love is the most powerful frequency, and it's actually measurable these days. And this is what we are practicing in our mindful moments. So we're going to drop into this coherent state now where we access feelings of love, of gratitude, of compassion. And so that we won't be frightened. If a sadness rises in front of you, larger than any of you have ever seen, if an anxiety like light and cloud shadows moves over your hands and over everything you do, you must realize that something is happening to you, that life has not forgotten you, that it holds you in its hand and it will not let you fall. So I invite you to just take a deep, slow breath in. And as you breathe out, just to allow your energy to settle into your body. With every out breath, just allowing your attention and your energy to drop into your feet, into your seat, anchoring and grounding yourself with each breath. If your thoughts start to wander, just connecting them to your anchors of your feet, your cushion or chair. Feeling the support that the earth and your chair offer you and receiving that support. Following each breath as it moves from your nose to the back of your throat, down into your chest. And then as it moves out of your chest, back up through your throat and out through your nose or mouth. Settling into the cycle of breathing. And really extending the in-breath for a count of about 5. And the out-breath for a count of about 5. If your thoughts start to wander, which they will because we're human, and that's what thoughts do, just gently guiding them back to your heart space. Feeling the expansion and the relaxation of each breath. Allowing each in-breath to expand us and to fill us, and each out-breath to soften us. And as we sit here, inviting a feeling of gratitude into our bodies, perhaps for this moment of breathing together, of being held by our breath, of being held by life. Perhaps a feeling of gratitude or love for someone, person or pet that you want to connect with, to share this feeling of love with. Really feeling into the sensation of love in your heart space. Noticing if it has a color or a light, a texture, a sensation. Tap into this feeling of appreciation, of love, of being held by life. Feeling into the regulation of our heartbeat and of our breath. As we do so, just feeling this sensation of love expanding, so that it even expands beyond our body. This electromagnetic field that surrounds us, that we take with us wherever we go. Knowing that this connection with self and with others is available to us at all times. And if there's someone that you wish to connect with, wish to support, just inviting them into your heart space, not trying to change or fix anything, just wrapping them in this sensation of love. Supporting them and yourselves and ourselves as we do this. Then slowly letting go of this image of them as we bless them, and let go like we might let go of a balloon and watching it drift up. And we reconnect with this energy of love and gratitude for ourselves in our heart space. Knowing that we can tap into the space of coherence at any time. When feelings of doubt or fear, sadness arise, we can notice them. We can allow them to be. We can bring them into our heart space and just to breathe with them. You may even want to rest your hands over your heart space as we take our last few breaths of this meditation. When you're ready, just taking a long, slow exhale out, like a sigh. Gently coming back to your body, wiggling your fingers and toes, moving into your feet and your hands, your shoulders, your neck. When you're ready, opening your eyes and coming back to the room and the space that we're in. You mustn't be frightened if a sadness arises in front of you, larger than any you have ever seen. If an anxiety like light and cloud shadows moves over your hands and over everything you do, you must realize that something is happening to you, that life has not forgotten you, that it holds you in its hand and it will not let you fall. Thank you for joining. You're welcome to unmute and share anything that came up for you, or to put anything in the chat, or to go into your day, remembering that we can connect with this energy, this coherence in our heart space. When these feelings arise, not to take them personally, know that we're working through, and our whole world is working through a healing crisis, moving on to something new, that you're not alone and that we're in it together. Thank you for joining, and if I'll post the recording later, and if you want to share with anyone else, please feel free to forward it on.
Thanks so much, Nex.
Thank you, Sal.
Thank you.
Thanks, Hilda. Lovely to have you back. Oh, thanks, Silky. And I'll link some of these the links to the YouTubes for Michelle McClellan and for Ronan McCratty in the comments of my YouTube, or the description of my YouTube. Thanks, everyone. Hope it was
Thank
soothing.
you. Can I just say thank you? Oh, Ellen, you speak first.
No, you do first. You jumped on first.
I just want to say thank you, and I love that poem, and it's so lovely to have you back, and it's really it's a lovely mindful moment. So good, thank you.
Thanks, Mum. Thank you, Mum. And
Do
Ellen,
you want to stop recording or not, or do you?
I think we'll keep the recording, and if
Okay.
people want to, they can stop it, and otherwise Ellen always gives lovely astrology insights.
Thank you. So next week is a big one because it's the full moon in the early hours of Wednesday morning next week.
Yeah.
And what I was thinking would be, I mean, and you've got the moon calendar that you got from me, how much the moon influenced us and our emotions and what we're going through. And it changes every 2.5 days. So, I mean, the moon goes through every sign of the zodiac, in 28 days. And when you actually start looking at where the moon is and how you personally are feeling and how the moon is affecting you personally, it's actually quite a nice way of monitoring. It fits into your moon cycle, your menstrual cycle as well.
So often as well, yeah.
So there's so much of our emotions actually follow the moon cycles. So right at the moment, the moon is in Leo, which is your powerhouse. Tomorrow it goes into Virgo, but next week it's in Scorpio. The full moon is in Scorpio, which is quite a lot of mysterious and mystery. But the new moon is about sowing seeds and setting intention, and the full moon is always the harvest moon, where you actually have focus on gratitude and what you have got and what is going right, and but then release the chaff. Whenever you harvest anything, you take the fruit from the harvest. But there's a lot of stuff that comes up that you don't need, the leaves and the stems and all sorts of things. And that we don't eat those things. We don't use those things. Those are the things that helped, and with the grief from today that you were talking about and stuff happened. That's the leaves. That's the excess stuff that has got the plant, what we're grateful for to come to fruition. But on the full moon, it's time to say thank you very much for that, and I appreciate that. But the release that no longer serves you. I don't need that in my life anymore. So it could be quite a fun intro to your talk next week, and being on the full moon,
On the full
and
moon,
it's the eclipse
to the time of the full
and the eclipse in America. Although we won't see the eclipse here, we still feel the energy.
Yeah.
And I read ages ago that an eclipse is like rebooting your computer, that the light to the earth is shut off. That's like unplugging the earth from the sun's energy for a short while and then rebooting it and plugging it back in again. And it's a lovely opportunity. It's a very powerful time of this eclipse season and the full moon coming up.
So, thank you for those reminders, Ellen. That's lovely. Yeah. And so, yeah, we will be together next week on the full moon, and can hold that with us. So thank you for that reminder. That's lovely.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful session today. Thanks, Nix.
Oh, thanks, Ellen.
And it was lovely to see you last week too.
Yeah, just lovely to be in St. Francis.
Holiday.
To see you.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah. And you're going to hate it, but we're having the most spectacular day here today.
Well, enjoy it. Enjoy it. Yeah. Think of us.
Thanks, Nix. Bye.
Okay. Love to all. Thank you, everyone. Is there anything else to be said? Thank you all, and wish you a blessed day.